right, well, we will go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Colleen Paulson, the Associate Director of Admissions, working across our Executive MBA programs. I'm excited to be here today to just talk through the application process and give you a little more information about each of our Executive MBA programs. We will talk through any questions that you have. Feel free to type those in the chat and we can talk about them at the end, or jump in and ask questions as we go. Sometimes that's easier because we'll talk through all three programs, evening, Charlotte, and the weekend program. So with that, I will go ahead and get started. We are recording today for anyone that couldn't make it. So here we go. All right. So why UNC Kenan-Flagler? We have a different standard for success. Our culture really drives a standard of competition where we can define success as everyone getting what they need out of the program. So our capable and collaborative graduates really gain the skills necessary to lead their leaders, teams, and peers. You know you're getting world-class faculty at UNC Chapel Hill, but it's the peers sitting next to you in the classroom and the value that they add through their experiences that really just make all of the difference. You'll hear us talk through our values, core values of innovation, impact, integrity, and inclusion in everything we do. And so you'll hear us talk about that today on the call, throughout the admissions process, as a student, and most importantly, as alumni. I always encourage people to kind of think through these values as you're going through the admissions process. Think about which ones really resonate with you, and think about stories that really show that these values align with yours. Leadership is important at UNC Kenan-Flagler. Our longstanding commitment to collaboration and experiential learning really develops leaders with both technical and social acumen, so they're prepared for a wide variety of leadership roles. Career leadership is a huge differentiator for us. So this is woven throughout the academic coursework and extracurricular content, but you have access for customized programming with our career coaches. So you can meet with our career coaches as little or as often as you'd like throughout the program. You'll meet them at orientation, and then they encourage everyone to meet with them, whether you're navigating a pivot or just want to go through some programming to develop certain leadership skills. They're available throughout the program, and then as alumni, free of charge for life. So we think this is a great differentiator because we know many times you'll need a career coach as you navigate, the next 15 to 20 years of your career. So it's fantastic to be able to offer that to our students. And our alumni is something we're really proud of. So there's a wide range of backgrounds from startups to Fortune 500 corporations. You'll see 97 countries and more than 46,000 alumni globally. So you can really find someone from Kenan-Flagler anywhere you go. Actively engaged alumni groups around the world. And so it's nice to know that you can join these groups as a student. You don't have to wait until you graduate. So you have access to that network right away. And lifelong learning opportunities. So as a UNC Kenan-Flagler alumni, you can come back and take courses for a nominal charge. So I sit on our Charlotte campus, and we recently had an MBA graduate from years ago who came and was taking a class on Monday evenings here in Charlotte that maybe they didn't have access to back then, or something interesting and appealing that they feel like they wanted a refresher. So it's nice to know that you have access to lifelong learning. So first, we'll talk through the evening program. So this is our Executive MBA program held in Chapel Hill on a weekly cadence on Monday nights. So we'll talk through this program, the Charlotte program, and then the weekend program. But feel free to ask questions if you're kind of trying to figure out which program is the best fit for you or what the differences are. Hopefully, you'll be able to pick up on the differences. But this first program, the evening program, is in Chapel Hill, held at McCall Business School. The cohort is about 60 to 70 people, and the program duration is 21 to 24 months. So everyone graduates together after 24 months, but depending on the speed of your second year electives, you can choose to sort of finish your programming in 21 months, but everyone graduates together after the 24. The program schedule begins with orientation in September. Monday night classes, and 2 impact weekends during the first year. And so we'll take a deeper dive into the program schedule next, but the tuition is $99,000 for the evening program. So the evening schedule, Monday nights, you can see 5:30 to 9:50. Class 1 is 5:30 to 7:30 with a short break. This is when people are eating dinner, taking a break, having a quick snack before class 2, 7:50 to 9:50. And then impact weekends, Friday through Sunday, these are offered twice during the first year, once in Charlotte and once in Chapel Hill. And this is when all 3 executive MBA formats get together for programming. Usually one of these topics is on innovation and the other is the workplace of the future. We just recently had one in September here in Charlotte, where the evening, weekend, and Charlotte cohorts were all here in Uptown Charlotte working on programming around innovation. And so it's exciting to see everyone come together, kind of work across those groups, grow your network, and not just have access to your small cohort. So we'll take a deeper dive into the schedule here. So you can easily find this online, or I'm happy to send it to you. But I love these slides because they really take a detailed look at what that first year looks like for you. So if you're interested in the evening schedule for in Chapel Hill, our application opened on Monday and we're recruiting for September of 2026 start. So you can see that that will start with orientation in the light gray in September. The evening and Charlotte cohorts will come together for that orientation in Chapel Hill. And then it kicks off with the October term. So you can see as we walk through this year, each term is 3 months. So it's about 13 weeks long, and you'll have class 10 of those weeks. So you can see the October term, it lists the 4 classes over there on the right, what you will be taking: communicating complex information, business statistics and analytics, financial accounting, and strategy. So the way I like to think about this is those blue boxes, those Monday nights when you're taking the 2 classes each Monday, it's an AB schedule. So those 4 classes listed under the October term, you're taking the first 2 on October 5th and the second 2 on October 12th, and then it follows that AB cadence throughout the term. It's helpful to know that you will have some prep work before the first class and some wrap up after the last class, but you'll only have class 10 of those weeks within the 13-week term. Then you jump into January, again, following that Monday night cadence. You'll see that Tuesday there. If there's a holiday on a Monday, many times classes are held on the Tuesday night. And then that dark gray in March, that is the first impact weekend. And so that one is held in Chapel Hill. And so if you are in this evening program, you'll be in Chapel Hill for that programming. Everyone from Charlotte will travel in, and the weekend will travel in from wherever they're located. But again, January term lists the 4 classes, and it's on that AB schedule. And then it continues throughout the first year on this cadence. So April term, you can see the 4 classes and the Monday nights. July term, again, Monday nights, ending with the impact weekend in September. And so if we think about the Charlotte program, it looks pretty similar to the evening cadence. You'll see a few differences. The cohort is about the same size, 60 to 70 people, located in Uptown Charlotte at Legacy Union, 620 South Tryon Street, in what we now refer to as the Boat, the Bank of America Tower in Uptown. Program duration is the same, 21 to 24 months, depending on how you choose to take your electives in year 2. And then the program schedule starts with orientation and Monday nights. And then you'll see the occasional Friday afternoon is what we call Executive Fridays and impact weekends. And then the tuition for the Charlotte program is $125,589. So you can see here the schedule. We have the Monday evenings, 5:30 to 7:30 is class 1 with the short break. And then class 2, 7:50 to 9:50. You'll see as we look at the schedule on the next slide, Executive Fridays happen 3 times per term. These are in place of a Monday class day. So rather than seeing every Monday, you'll have the occasional Executive Friday. This is when we have lunch brought in 12 to 2. You'll have lunch and have a fireside chat with an executive speaker. And then class one follows that speaker from 2:15 to 4:15, a short break, and you wrap up 4:45 to 6:45. I think I saw a question in the chat about the difference in the tuition. Comes up a lot. Great question. That is because the Executive Fridays in Charlotte, as well as the Impact Weekends, are a little different. So with Impact Weekends in Charlotte, all of your lodging and meals are included. So whether that's for orientation or Impact Weekend, your lodging is included. So when you're going to orientation in Chapel Hill, all of your lodging and meals are included. Impact Weekends, even if they're in Charlotte, your lodging and meals are included. So that's the big difference there. Everyone must go to Impact Weekends, but for Charlotte, the tuition is a little higher. It does include those lodging and meals. And again, the Impact Weekends that you'll see on the schedule, those are required, 2 of those with all 3 formats. So if you look at the Charlotte schedule here, again, it kicks off with orientation in September. So that's, again, where you're traveling to Chapel Hill. Your lodging and meals are included. The evening folks live in Chapel Hill, so they don't have lodging available to them. October term kicks off. And so you can see this is a little different than evening with those navy blue Executive Fridays. So for the Executive Fridays in the past, we've had C-suite level speakers. We've had the CEO of Duke Energy. We've had RVO Health. We've had Bank of America executives. We recently had someone here from Wells Fargo. So really great to get a variety of industries and representation at those Executive Fridays. 2 of those are usually executive speakers, and then the third Executive Friday is usually focused on some sort of professional development. So then you can see the Monday night classes. So classes are held after Executive Friday, and then on that Monday night cadence, similar to what we walked through for weekend, the same 4 classes and the same faculty. So I think that's a huge differentiator for us with our Charlotte program is that the faculty are traveling from Chapel Hill to teach the exact same content to our students here in Charlotte. So think of it as an A-B schedule. If evening is on those A classes, Charlotte's on the B classes. And so every other week, the faculty are rotating between those 2 programs. Again, 13 weeks in the term, and you have class 10 of those weeks, whether that's an Executive Friday or the Monday nights. You go into January term, and you can see that in March, we have that Impact Weekend. They'll travel to Chapel Hill from Charlotte to be part of that Impact Weekend, again with weekend, evening, and Charlotte in attendance. April term and July term looks similar with the Monday nights and the Executive Friday courses. And then September rounds out the July term with that Impact Weekend, and that one is here in Charlotte. Interesting to note that the Charlotte folks do have access to hotel rooms to stay in Uptown Charlotte and be on site for those as well. And then the weekend program. So we are recruiting right now for our cohort that will start this January for the weekend program. The cohort is about 50 and they stay at the Rizzo Conference Center in Chapel Hill. I love Rizzo. It's a great space. All of your classes are held there. There's a variety of conference spaces as well as the hotel, a gym, a pool, a fire pit, restaurants. You really can arrive at Rizzo and never leave. The program duration for the weekend program is 21 months because it starts in January and wraps in October. So that first year is around the core, and that second year is when you take your elective courses. Program schedule for weekend, the orientation is held in January. Every other month, you're in class for weekend. So it's a little bit of a different schedule, which we'll take a look at. But if you're looking at those 3 months term, you're in class the first month, virtual the next month, and in class the third month. And then you also attend those Impact Weekends we talked about. Your lodging is included, and tuition is $125,589, which is the same as the Charlotte tuition. So again, you're at Rizzo. There's a snapshot of the outdoor area. Thursday night is an optional hotel stay. So many of our folks traveling in from outside of North Carolina or even just a few hours away, will take advantage of that optional hotel stay Thursday night. Friday, courses are held 8 to 5 p.m., Saturday, 8 to 5, and Sunday, 8 to 1:15. So it's a packed weekend where you're actually taking each course twice. And then the virtual weekend is a little lighter, 12 to 4:30 on Friday and 10 to 2:30 on Saturday. Again, those same impact weekends that we talked about in March in Chapel Hill and September in Charlotte. So if you look at this schedule for the weekend program, it kicks off in January with the darker gray for orientation. That first live weekend, January 23rd through the 25th. February, you can see in the navy blue is the virtual weekend. And then March is another live weekend, covering those same 4 classes. And then impact weekend is end of March. And so then you look at the April term, live in April, live in June with a virtual May weekend. So it's a little bit different cadence, but again, covering the same 4 classes as you would in evening or Charlotte. And then you see July and October. So that gets you through that entire first year of the core, taking 4 classes each term. And you can see the virtual term or the virtual months in between, and then September ending with that impact weekend with all 3 formats in attendance. And so the curriculum in year 1 covers 36 hours of the core. And then year 2 is when you have the opportunity to choose about 12 or 13 electives to get you to your additional 26 credit hours. And so year 2, we like to refer to as build your own adventure, because you have the opportunity to take those 12 to 13 classes, whether you would like to do a global trip or if you prefer to take all of your electives in the same format you've been in, or you can do a mixture. So a lot of people, for instance, might mix in some complete online virtual electives. Other people like to, stay in the cadence they've been in, whether that's evening or Charlotte, and then mix in a few weekend electives to get to campus and just take a deeper dive over a weekend. So you have the flexibility to choose the format in which you're taking your electives. And then also you have the opportunity to choose those 12 to 13 classes, and you have the ability to concentrate. So you don't have to choose this up front. I will get to your question, Matt, in 1 second. For concentrations, right now we offer these 6 concentrations. And so if you're taking electives in one of these concentrations, in order for it to be considered a concentration, you're taking 5 of the 7 electives in that area. So if you know you have, let's say, 12 to 13 electives to take, and you want to take 5 of those in finance and 5 of those in strategy, you would end up with 2 concentrations and a few electives to spare. Matt, I saw your question about the healthcare concentration. Right now, my understanding is that we are not adding a healthcare concentration. We do have 1 or 2 courses that have, a healthcare spin. I want to say it was healthcare in economics and healthcare, and maybe 1 other. You would have access to other offerings around healthcare, but no specific concentration in the Executive MBA format. If you are local to Chapel Hill, some people do try to take electives in the full-time curriculum. And so that would take a little extra legwork. It's not just similar to the build your own adventure that I talked about, but people have been able to take electives in the full-time MBA program if there's space. So it's nice to know that while it may take a little extra effort, sometimes that is available if that's of interest.
Thank you.
Sure. But yes, these 6 concentrations are available, and you have the opportunity. Many people choose 1 or 2. Some people don't concentrate at all. So I want everyone to walk away knowing that you can truly build your own adventure. If you want to just take electives across all of these concentrations, you can certainly do that as well without truly declaring a concentration. And the program does a great job walking through at the end of year 1 with all of the students to decide what makes sense, how you register for electives, what that might look like for you. And then if you want to take advantage of any other, you know, Global Entrepreneurship Lab is very popular. That is a global trip where you're acting as a consulting group for a startup internationally, and you are part of that in the States, and you're working as their consulting team, and then you travel abroad and actually help the leaders of that organization kind of execute the strategy that you've been a part of building. So we have opportunities like that. We have other global immersion electives that you can choose to be a part of. So lots of opportunity in that year two to add in global, experiential concentrations, or just take a wide variety. So then admissions. So we like to do a holistic review of every application. So I think it's important to note that while we are going to talk through all of the pieces, we aren't as focused on, one over the other. We do our interviews without really looking at your essays and letters of recommendation first, because we want to get to know you and your goals and, what you might bring to the program and what you're hoping to gain from the program. So we don't look at your application and kind of make a decision before we get to know you. I think it's nice to know that we get to know you during your interview and then, review the rest of your application items within an admissions committee to kind of figure out, do you fit best in this program, and is this program a good fit for you? So holistic review of your application, we want to see academic readiness. So we do look at your transcripts from undergrad. We do look at, your work experience. What has your career progression been? What are your goals from here? And then a proven track record of leadership. I know in my interviews, I'm always asking what type of leader you are. Tell me about an experience you've had as a leader, or have you had experience with a good leader as a boss? What did that look like? So leadership is very important, as we've mentioned. So I think just thinking through the type of leader you are, even if you haven't had direct leadership opportunities, let's say, managing a team, you can describe your leadership style, whether that's been, on projects you've been a part of or in a team setting. So if we're looking at the application that just opened for Evening in Charlotte on Monday, our minimum year of work experience is 2 years, with 5 years preferred. The average is about 10 years of work experience, give or take. Each year it changes, but for Evening in Charlotte, it's around 10 years. We are looking for your resume, 2 essays with an optional third. And so we have essay prompts that one is around your career goals and how the MBA fits into that. And then an impactful experience and how you would bring that into the classroom. That optional third essay is a great opportunity to write about anything that you feel like you haven't been able to explain in your application. So I always encourage people to take advantage of that third essay, especially if you have something that you're uncertain about in your application. For instance, I see people use it for like a lower grad or lower undergrad GPA. So I think that's a great opportunity for you to add some color to what that experience was like for you. Many of our professionals have been out, 10, 20 years. And so their undergrad GPA maybe isn't a reflection of everything they've accomplished in their career. Or maybe you were a biology major and that just wasn't, your true passion. And so you had a few bad grades that were factored into that undergrad GPA. So I encourage people to take advantage of that essay. I think the admissions committee really appreciates that, just to, add that personal touch and kind of explain to us maybe what was going on. Official transcripts are required. So any institution where you've taken classes, those official transcripts need to be sent directly to UNC Chapel Hill. You can use unofficials to get through the admissions process. So what I see most is people uploading, a copy of a transcript you have on hand from your undergrad institution to get you an admissions decision. And then you have until orientation to upload or have your institution send to Kenan-Flagler the official transcript. So many times it's easier to get your hands on an unofficial transcript to get your decision and then go through the officials through orientation. We do require 2 recommendations. And so for us, that we're looking for, someone who's had access to see what you look like in the workplace. What are you like on a team? What type of leader are you? What are your strengths? Any areas for development? And so I always encourage, a boss who's worked directly with you, a mentor who's, had insight into your career progression. So you'll upload their email address and we push them a form. And there's also an optional text box where they can elaborate on things. They can certainly always, upload an additional letter if they prefer to do that as well. No GMAT required for those that have 5 or more years of work experience. Many others will qualify for a GMAT waiver. So, we are looking for academic readiness. We want to see how you've done in your courses. Let's say you weren't a business undergrad, you've not taken many quant courses. We might still approve your waiver and just ask that you take advantage of business foundations. Everyone has access to business foundations once they enroll. And these are 3 virtual courses that you get to take. It's like asynchronous coursework prepared by Kenan-Flagler faculty. So we may, waive your GMAT and just ask that you actually focus on these accounting, statistics, and finance courses. Self-guided, but it really levels the playing field and is a way to invest your time versus studying for the GMAT. We'd rather you invest your time in these 3 courses to really get you up to speed. Others qualify for a waiver and aren't required to do business foundations, but I always encourage everyone to take advantage of business foundations just because many times it's been a while since you've had access to certain topics. And then the interview that I mentioned. So many times I do these interviews or someone else from our team. These are 30 to 45 minutes, very conversational, getting to know you, understanding your goals, why you're interested in an MBA. And just answering any questions you have as you're assessing programs and figuring out the best fit for you. So you can see our deadlines over on the right. Application just opened this past Monday. And so we have our first deadline in December, then February, April, and June. So you'll see several events that you can attend and get to know us as much as we get to know you. But we encourage you to, join webinars like you are today. Just gather as much information as possible. And then the weekend application is still open. Our final deadline is November 3rd. The difference here is the work experience. So our minimum is 5 years for the weekend program with 8 years preferred. So the average is a little higher for weekend, around 13 to 15 years of experience. Again, you'll see a wide range in each of our programs from the minimum, whether that's 2 years in evening in Charlotte to 5 years in weekend on up to 27, 30 years working. Again, the resume, 2 essays with the optional third, official transcripts, recommendations. Most don't even need to apply for the waiver for GMAT, or I'm sorry, because of the 5 years experience for weekend. So most people are automatically waived for the GMAT. And then again, an interview with someone from our team. So the final deadline there for weekend is November 3rd. If you are interested in weekend, we did just add a class visit that you'll see on our website where you can come in, sit in on a class, have lunch with current students, and just get to know the facility and what it would be like to be a student. So that was added Friday, October 17th. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up online as well. And then financing your MBA. We do have a employer support guide out there on the website that you can use to kind of help detail your proposal or business case. Many companies will reimburse for a portion of your MBA. And so it's nice to look into that and see if they will, help reimburse up to a certain point. And so we do have a guide out there to help you with that process. All students are able to work with our financial aid counselor, and she can help guide you through the federal student loan process. Any military benefits, we also have a Veterans Affairs counselor, and she can guide you through any of that. Many of our veterans have access to some great benefits, and so it's nice to know that you have a counselor on site that works with you as a veteran to look, every situation is a little different, and so it's nice that she can guide you through that. And then everyone is considered for merit fellowships or forte fellowships. just by applying. So there's no separate application. I always encourage students to mention it if you're interested, whether that's on your application or in the interview, that, fellowships are important to you, because that's something that we do discuss as an admissions committee. But you are considered for those just by going through the application process. And if you have questions about financial aid or Veterans Affairs, those two email addresses on the screen there, you can reach out to our counselors directly and they can work with you. And then, is the program worth it? We get asked this all the time. So we recently did a survey study on ROI, and we would say, yes, it's worth it. Salary growth, we had 18% average salary increase during the program. And then for those that made job changes, 32% increase. 41% of our students changed jobs during the program, and many others have said that they intend to explore opportunities in the future, just that they've gained that confidence and career marketability. And then we're really proud of the high satisfaction. So you'll see 97% said they'd recommend the program. Students were, satisfied with the academic rigor and faculty and their overall experience. So hopefully many of you on today's webinar heard from another student, alumni of the program, but we feel confident that students are happy with, what they're receiving from the program. And then, as we all know, the ROI on an MBA extends well beyond the 2 years. So it's hard to track, but I think this is helpful just to have a few data points to share with you as you navigate this decision.